Sup, y'all? We're gonna do another Duddy's Diary today. Tell you what's going on, what's on my mind. Lately, I've been falling into deeper and deeper rabbit holes of, just the usual corruption and evil and the bad of the world, conspiracies, etc. And I know that God says the eyes are the light to the soul. And I know Buddha says whatever you think of, you become. Whatever you consume your mind with, you will manifest, you will embody, you will, expel into the world, sort of. So my problem is I'm researching all this darkness, all this evil, all this really, really bad stuff and trying to find its root. Where does it come from? How can you defeat it? What is the truth? What has happened in the past? What is happening now with the corruption of the government and the countries and the wars? And it's breeding a certain hate inside of me, anger, sadness, almost this helplessness of what I can even do about it. And it's demotivating, but also very motivating. But it's motivating me in the wrong direction right now. It motivates me to make content and motivate the youth and motivate men to be strong and motivate people to follow Christ and try to find the snake and kill it. But sometimes you just want to take a sword, go out there and kill the enemy yourself. But that's exactly what Jesus doesn't want us to do. He wants us to fight evil and stomp on them, especially the ones that promote sin to his little ones, right? The children, the followers of Christ. The people who are easily influenced, taken advantage of, the elders, whatever. And when you see that there's people who don't give a single crap about any of that, and they believe in their own ideologies and their own prophet and their own satanistic, sinister ways, it makes you so angry that eventually you become that. Right? There's this thing. It's the thing you don't want to become is the thing you become. It's this weird quote. It's like the thing you're trying to fight your whole life might end up turning you into that thing, which is a statement that I understand. I know exactly what that entails. You can see it in politics, you can see it in these heroes that you have in a sort sometimes. And I don't want to become that. So I think this drag, which sometimes might be your passion, could also be Satan. Also be Satan. And that's what's dangerous. Because you're like, oh, this is my passion, this is what I have to do. I have to use my word, I have to fight, which is good. But you need to be careful of what is hate and what boundaries, and are you going to end up breaking the commandments, the law, and then justify it. I am breaking the law and I justify it by destroying evil. But then that would make you eventually evil, because you'll just keep on justifying it, and then you become the villain. And then you can justify being the villain, but you're still the villain. It's very, very complex situation right there. So Jesus said, or what my other Christian friends said as well is you got to fight the spirit with the spirit. You can't fight flesh with flesh because then you just have millions of dead bodies everywhere. And that's what we don't want. That's just the cycle that keeps repeating itself. The belief that weapons bring peace, right? They always talk down on weapons. Weapons are bad, but the second they want to fight something, they pull out the weapons, produce weapons. We must fight in this war. We must bring the bombs. We must establish democracy. We must establish peace. But we must kill all of them. We must lock them all up. We must extinguish them. They are evil, and we are the good ones, and we justify it. So let's make more war machines and invade because we are good and they are bad. You know how that can slowly or quickly go the wrong way? Like, I see the intention there. I get it. I get it. But it's just going to bring you down that same rabbit hole every single time. And then at the end of the day, it's never a battle against flesh versus flesh. It's always a spiritual battle. It's always the spirit. It's an underlying, I don't know if you want to call it religious. Yeah, in our vocabulary, it would be called a religious battle, but it's something I think, I don't like using the word religion, but it has something to do with a higher power instructing people and then them fighting the other people who are instructed by their higher power. And this problem is that these higher powers are usually just ideologies, myths, or beliefs, or man made illusions to a point where you go and die for it. Your nation goes and dies for it. You can get enslaved by it. You'll do some crazy things, and which then leads to the battle of flesh versus flesh. So the only way, in my opinion, to stop corruption, this is where this is where it gets super controversial again, and saying I'm part of the trap, I'm part of the problem, but I think the only way is through Christ, right? Why do I say that? Because his belief is around unity and love, and everyone is equal, promoting to be humble, to give and share to the less fortunate, to not collect things that collect dust, to be loving. He came down to release people from that harsh Old Testament. Because you can see that this blood eye for an eye thing, this new age wisdom. The thing about new age is it isn't new. It's always been there. New age basically means I'm a human and I think I'm so intelligent that I can figure it out by myself or with other intelligent people because we know it better. That's what new age is. We got it figured out. We don't need you, God. That's what new age is. It's not new at all. It's existed since the beginning of mankind. So, and in the Bible, it says, whatever is right to man will lead him straight to death. And that's exactly what it is. You think you know it better, and it leads to genocide. It leads to enslavement of people, murder, rape, dehumanization, pride in nations. And it's because they remove God and Christ, because it's a gimmick, because it's stupid, because it's dated, because it's hated, because there was corruption done with it. So then they remove it, then they make man king, and man has no mercy. Man also has self-driven, egotistical desires. Man can lie. Man can adjust his word. Man can actually do whatever he wants. And with power, money, influence, he can justify it. Which, in this case, a God, you can't rewrite or change the word of a God. That's where this whole thing of God comes from, right? So then you could say, what makes the other one better than the next? Well, the problem is, I don't even want to. Because then you just get attacked for separation again, right? You think, oh, you're better than the other. So your religion is no better because you're prideful of your religion and you think you are right and they think they are right. See, that's another problem that Jesus is trying to break. It's that unity. For other religions, they are more focused on the pridefulness of their existence, of their God. And they are not big fans of non-believers. Where Jesus, he he appreciates his believers, but his main focus is the non-believers. Where I think the other religion, their focus is the believers, and they don't like the non-believers. It's also very interesting that I know that the most skilled person, or sometimes the smartest person in the class, the idol in the class, the one with the most potential, he's usually, or the most beautiful woman in the class, or the strongest guy. Sometimes they get picked on, and other people, the weak people, drag them down. So sometimes being extremely attractive or being extremely skilled in the wrong circles is a horrible thing, because all the weaklings, all the people who don't like you, the haters, they'll try to drag you down. They'll literally try to kill you. They'll literally try to kill you because you are a threat to survival, a threat of stealing your mate, right? So the threat of not getting that position, that promotion, that marriage, that reward, that achievement. So it's like, alert. That person is better than me. Why? How? Not too sure. I just have this feeling. Other people are giving them attention. I must destroy that so attention gets put back on me. Very human nature, right? So that's what I think. Jesus might also be the most hated man to ever live, is because he might have been that light. He might have been that truest potential of what could be, right? You don't try to drag someone else down that's not a threat to you, right? Why aren't they trying to drag Buddha into the ground? Hmm? It's they don't see him as a threat. Now the question is, what is the threat? If we go to Christianity, the threat would be Satan, the devil, the king of this earth. So if Satan isn't trying to destroy Buddha, then he doesn't see Buddha as a threat. Buddha could be a beautiful life philosophy, way, guidance, direction, to have a beautiful, calm, and awesome life. But I don't think it's able to destroy corruption. I don't think it's able to destroy corruption. Because, see, I'm trying to punch holes in my own theory. I question it. Right? I'm also I don't like living in lies. I don't like living in delusion. I don't like being manipulated. That's why I fall into these deep rabbit holes of reading and trying to find the truth in the beginning and following the money, etc. So I don't want to get pulled into the illusion of Jesus Christ. But for some reason, I keep ending up with him. And he also gives me strength. Now you could say something else gives me strength. Sure. But the goal is to also give strength to your community, to the people around you, and the end goal is to shine your light onto darkness. And I've read books on Buddhism, Greek philosophy, the Greeks, the Romans, German philosophers, Eastern Indian philosophy and spirituality. I've read the most famous self-help books by Marcus Aurelius, Confucius, Schopenhauer, Sam Harris. I went on Satanistic blogs trying to figure out what Satanism is about. I've done my lap, and nothing has grabbed my heart as much as the Bible. And that's also a thing that I was rejecting the most. It's like I'm reading everything, I'm learning everything, I'm interested in everything, but then it's like the Bible blocked. I don't want that. I don't. So then after a while I was like, okay, so I'm trying to be this intellect, researching life, wisdom, and understanding. But then there's this book that's been around for a long time. It's hated, loved, the most sold, the most prominent word in the world, the Bible, and I'm rejecting it. That was a red flag. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to dive into this. And once I started diving into it, I dove into it wrong. I started on Genesis, page 1. I read it like every other book, and then I got disinterested, jumped to other things again. Those things randomly brought me back to the book because I couldn't find answers to my life. I was still sinning so much. I was still disappointed in myself. I was still down. And it's like, how can I read over 100, I don't know, 50 books and have a blog and read and podcast and journal and meditate and do all these things, but I still feel so lost, empty, useless. Even though I'm productive, I do a lot of stuff. I work, I provide, I'm applying the things that I read from the books, but there's still like that emptiness. So then I was like, where do I start reading in the Bible? And it said Matthews. And then I read Matthews and I was like, wow. What is going on here? How has no one ever told me about this earlier? And then I read, what was it, Mark? And my Christian friend told me to read Mark. And was it Mark or was it James? It was Peter. I read Peter. Prime. And then I went to my favorite that I've just been re-chewing every day for content. Proverbs, which is Old Testament. Beautiful. So easy to understand. Even the New King James Version. You don't even need to read the NLT version. But I would say, even if you're trying to get into it, start with the easiest, the NLT version, whatever. And then I also have like this online Bible page where you can reference them and get a description and see how the other translations are. And it's just, Proverbs is just, it came to me at the exact right time in my life when I needed it. And now I'm kind of jumping a little left and right. I'm a little bit in Psalms, then I'm a little bit in Mark, and a little bit in. Then I go back to rereading my notes and Matthews. I have a study Bible, so on the side here, you can write your own definition or your own understanding and later come back to it and adjust it or get a quick recap. And I've never gotten this much information out of anything. It's, and I'm not trying to read it as in I want to get to page 2, I want to get to page 3, I want to get to page 5. That's how I started, but now it's like, what does this sentence even mean? What is the sentence? Why has it been preserved for so long? Why, it's not, I'm not reading every sentence. Not every sentence is going to change your mind. Most of the stuff you probably won't even understand, and then I just skim through it. My mind isn't ready to receive it or understand it, or I'm not in that chapter of my life. But you're going to get the chapters, books, sections, sentences where just complete revelation. They also say you will be reborn once you give your life to Jesus Christ or once you find him. My whole life has been flipped around in about 2 months. 2 months. I don't really swear anymore. I stopped listening to my favorite genre of music. I deleted over 25 of my songs, which I've put hundreds of dollars into, hundreds of hours, dedication, and I like them, and it's just, they're not part of me. My style, my style of clothing has changed a little bit, and how I feel when I walk, and how I see my brethren and my sisters on the street. It's an understanding that is very unique. Very unique. And there will be no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, which is also a quote I read, which is Romans 8:1, which I also love. It gives the opportunity to anyone to join the club. There will be no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. That gets rid of that whole debate about I'm a sinner, I'm gay, I did this. If you come to the Lord now and you say, hey, I am here, this is who I am with you, I follow you, do you accept me? He will. That's why they always say Jesus is against the gays. No, he's not. Or against other types of people. No, those who are in Christ Jesus, there will be no condemnation. Also, all sin is equal. So if you accept the sin of dissing the Lord, so if all sin is equal, right? Doesn't matter what you do, it's all equal. And then you come to Christ, he'll just wipe that. He'll just wipe that. Now you could say, well, I could be this and that and this and that. Well, the end goal is that you eventually do find that change and become better, right? Evil is going to exist forever. That's the issue, right? It's going to exist forever on. So the story, the life, the religion of Christ interrupted is kind of the answer to preventing that as early on as possible. So if that spread through the entire world, through the entire country, through the town, through everything, then you can prevent those things that will eventually turn into those extreme evils. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, that thing is evil, and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, if it was set up in a base that was inspired by this early on, then you can prevent those things. And as you can see in our world nowadays, everyone's sick. Men are killing themselves at record speeds, masses. And for some reason, we're becoming more intelligent, better tech, better research, better food understanding, better therapists, better ADHD brain trauma analysis, better treatments, the new age, like everything is new and better, but everyone's killing themselves. Isn't that kind of like a little bit weird? Hmm. It's like, and then they always make fun of the ancients, right? The past generations, they always make fun of them. But you need to understand that we are going to be the ancients one day. We aren't that much smarter as our forefathers. We're really not. You know, we have an iPhone and ChatGTP can organize some stuff and compile everything from the internet, but but there is a certain limit to the understanding of a brain in each human. So we always think, oh, they were monkeys in Stone Age, ooga ooga. No, they might have probably were even more intelligent than us, because now we have all this tech that reduces the work and knowledge we have to have and makes it easier for us so we don't need to remember it. If you took everything away from us, electricity, flowing water, etc., we would be off worse than the people in the Stone Age. It would be manslaughter. It would be complete violence, complete chaos, and no one would know how to survive. No one knows how to make a fire, build anything. Everything is run on the reliance on machines that other people built. So there might be a smart guy who built it, but you actually have no idea. I don't have idea. I have no idea. Right? Just like how people say electricity comes from the socket. Right? It's kind of funny, but it's true. Where's electricity come from? The socket. Yeah, okay. Where does the food come from? Well, the supermarket. Okay. You know what I'm trying to say here? So we are the ancients, and we might be really, really dumb. And then I'm also reading older books from the 1800s, 1900s, and you can tell in the way that they're talking that they had the same problems as us. They say that men are getting dumber, men are getting slower, men are getting weaker. We always think it's our generation that is the last generation. We always think that we're the last good ones and the next one they're getting dumber and weaker. They've had that thought since the 1800s and probably even before that. They always think their generation is cooked. They always think they're getting dumber, which I think is that balance in life between the idiots and the smart people, and the smart people observing the idiots. But in a way, the world still functions and keeps going. And then also of them thinking that they now have mastered science, that they have now mastered technology, that they have now mastered the future. And this is written in the 1900s. And if you look at it, we haven't mastered shit, bruh. We haven't mastered shit. We haven't, we have a bunch of tech, sure, cars, sure, electric and LED screens, and I can talk to my fridge, and my iPhone can order something through Alexa. But the kids are on the street, the women are single, the men are killing themselves, you're not getting paid any real money, you don't have any land, you're depressed, you're dependent on the gladiator games and free bread, and you're still begging for a raise and hoping that the government doesn't take anything from you. Then you're probably dependent on some sort of drug given to you by those people who poisoned you so that you need that drug. So you're in a cycle of poverty, enslavement, and weakening yourself. In this case, Satan, which is Jesus, is trying to even explain to us how this works. He's trying to tell us how this works in parables and stories and passages, and yeah, he's trying to explain it to us. But we, as a human, think we got to figure it out. But we don't. Oh, sorry, my nose is so itchy. Anyway, and he also says, whoever will preach my name will be persecuted, which is also funny. Because why would you persecute idiots? Let an idiot be an idiot. If there's a guy out there saying that the sky is purple, so what? Idiot. Why are you suppressing people's opinion? What is the deal? Unless you're trying to hide something, right? Suppressing the truth, suppressing The revolution suppressing goodness, it's just an idiot. Let him be an idiot. So what? Who's going to listen to him? He's an idiot. But if there's some truth to that idiot, then you have a problem. And then you'll get canceled, deleted, labeled as off the meds, labeled as a spy from a foreign country, a pedophile. He is a sex trafficker. He is he hates whatever. They'll think of something to pull you down. They'll make fun of you. They'll destroy your career. If you preach his name, or if you preach traditional values of a man must be strong, a woman must be loyal to her man and have children and raise the next generation, and kids should be raised at home and should be taught these things, then it's for Satan. That's a red flag. Also, Satan wants to depopulize the world. He wants to kill everyone. So anything that can slow down the birth rate or kill people off the planet will be highly promoted by Satan and his followers. They will not say that they're Satanists. They'll have some other label, hide behind some ideology, but their main goal is reduce the population, ideally to very, very low. And then they can rule over the planet with no rules, only their morale, which can be justified. They don't even have to justify it. If you're Satan, you can do whatever you want. That's your morale. If I want to have sex slaves and rape children and do a bunch of drugs and have 600 orgies a day and have slaves and beat them and murder them and lock them up and do sinister things, um, and there is no God, why would there be any punishment? Especially if everyone's on my team. And if I'm that crazy and stupid that I'm into all those things, I would have to logically get rid of everyone who's against it. And that's that spiritual battle where then the hate breeds, and you say to yourself, you know what, I want to execute all of them. But then they'll do the same. And then you have train loads full of dead bodies, deep holes filled with humans, starving during the daylight on camera. They don't give a single F about your opinion. They don't give a single F. Jesus also says those who give to the rich will surely end in poverty. We complain about not having money. We complain about paying too much tax. What do we do with our money, guys? We give it to Apple. We give it to BlackRock. We give it to the big companies. We give it to the organizations. We throw it at them. Just so we can make our slavery a little bit more luxurious. So we give everything we have to them, and then they enslave us with that money. And Jesus warns us about it. Don't give your money to them. Spend it among the community. Don't have too many things. What are we being taught? Do as your heart desires. Ads everywhere. Capitalism. See, people are against capitalism, but it's like you guys are feeding capitalism. You guys are capitalism. Stop buying stuff. Go on eBay. Buy from your community. Go to the garage sale. Buy things that last. Don't buy cheap garbage that you got to replace in a year. Ideally. But we've gone so far off the path that now something that would have been so simple is now really hard. Because the money or the disconnect amongst brethren, which is Satan's ideal goal. Destroy the community, separate the people from their religion, separate the trust among the community, make the men weak, take all their sources of defense, influence their education, influence their children, make them sick with food and things that are not good for them, make as much profit as possible to create things that can enslave them more, and give them cheap pleasures and sins so that they are the cause of their own downfall. And if anyone breaks out of this system, we kill them. We call them crazy, we drug them, we get rid of them, delete them. Or the good men who know this, they retract. They go quiet because they know what will happen. So then they just disappear into a forest. Or they move to South America, buy themselves a little house in Costa Rica and Brazil, Argentina, and say, you know what, screw the world. I'm just going to die here. I'm going to eat a mango every day, walk down the beach, F it. Can't save the world. And other people say, you know what, I'm going to be a warrior. I'm going to ride into battle. And I might get executed. So, because they are evil and they lie all the time, you get into this little dark bubble of what can I believe? What is actually true? What have they told me that is actually true? Is history true? Is anything true? Are the textbooks all pre-written? Are they all a scam? Who was here before us? Is it actually the year 2025 or did they steal a couple years? Are there civilizations that we don't know about? How would we? We weren't there. Wouldn't be that hard. Just have to rewrite the books. Back then they couldn't even write that well or at all. So it's not like they existed anyway. You don't know about them. Get rid of inventions that could help the world. Just archive them, destroy them, burn them. What is true? What isn't? Is the world round? Is it flat? Is there more continents that we haven't discovered? Are there people before us who knew something? Maybe. Maybe I'm just crazy, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not. That's also a problem. At the end, you might think you're going crazy. Or you think everyone else is crazy because they don't see it. Well, anyway. I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but you guys want to see a funny picture of my sister? Look at it. Look, I don't know why she bent her knee inwards like that. We were working in Germany on the yard, and it was cold, and she had her knee bent. And I was like, stand like that. You look like an idiot. you look. What is that? Do the stanky leg. And then I got it printed. She hated it so much that I went out and got it printed. Anyway, guys, I gotta go walk the dog. Not my dog, but my friend's dog. Make some little extra change. Look at that bling, look at that bling, man, look at that bling, look at that bling. Boom, 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 boom. The microphone is pointed this way. I hope the audio is okay. Anyway, guys, peace out. Akon.